Hola culés, bienvenidos a un nuevo video del canal. Hoy vamos a disfrutar de algo muy especial, la prensa inglesa reaccionando a la victoria del Barcelona por 2-1 frente a la Real Sociedad, un triunfo que no solo nos dio 3 puntos, sino también la cima de la liga. En este video van a ver cómo desde Inglaterra elogian la actuación del Barça, destacando el carácter, el juego y la personalidad del equipo. Y lo mejor, este contenido está totalmente subtitulado en español para que no se pierdan ningún detalle. Quiero que en los comentarios me digan, ¿prefieren que estos videos vengan con subtítulos o doblados al español? Eso nos va a ayudar a mejorar cada vez más el canal. Ya saben, culés, suscríbanse, activen la campanita, dejen su like y compartan este video para hipearlo. Y también escriban abajo desde dónde están viendo esta reacción. Vamos juntos a disfrutar de cómo el mundo habla del Barça líder de la liga. ¡Visca el Barça!
Today it was for Barcelona. This was an opportunity for them to take that result, to take top of the table. Still wasn't easy for them. They did have to make some of those substitutions, but a massive victory, you would say, in terms of the Liga title race, even early on.
Yeah, I think in general, when you look at this type of a performance from Barcelona, sometimes all that really matters is making sure you pick up 3 points, especially if it's not as easy as it looks like it is going to be on paper. Barcelona went out there with an interesting lineup. The 11 was obviously a little complicated at times, and finding chemistry sometimes in the games has not been easy for Barcelona in the early part of the campaign. But they are still scoring goals, and they're still finding ways to win football games. They went out with a really interesting lineup. Chesney started in goal, which is obviously as we would expect with recent injuries that they've had and picked up, but they do go with an average age of 27, which is slightly higher and older, but there's a couple of youngsters who are really impact players going out there as well. But we got to credit Real Sociedad. They went out there to play with a game plan of causing problems. They got the opening goal, which was a very good goal from Odriozola, and they deserved that goal. And they actually pushed for more. They were trying to score 2 or 3 goals in this game. But if you do that against Barcelona, eventually they'll find a way to win. That goal was coming from Jules Koundé, and I think the timing of the goal, Stefano, massively important. Just ahead of half-time, yeah. Different team talk now. Now you're looking at trying to win the game instead of trying to get back into the game.
Yeah, clearly goals right before halftime are so massive, especially when it's only a 1-0 lead. You mentioned the young players that we saw on this lineup. Hansi Flick, I mean, this is a game where they have an opportunity to go top of the table. And he instilled confidence in these 2 young kids, Fernandez and Bargi, 17 and 19 years old in the lineup. It's pretty impressive, you say, for him to have the confidence to put this lineup out there when the team has an opportunity to go top of the table.
I think Hansi Flick is a mastermind of understanding what's also ahead and coming next for Barcelona. Let's not forget they've got Paris Saint-Germain in a big game in the Champions League coming up with massive points, so they have to be able to rotate in some way. Having those 2 players go out there is also an opportunity for those 2 players to stake a claim and become a fixture in the starting 11, which is not easy to do in Barcelona's team. They're immensely proud of bringing young players through, whether they're signings to the club or coming through La Masia. I think it's important to make sure that they recognise you'll get your chance if you perform well. And what Hansi Flick does incredibly well with these young players is he puts them in with experience, right? You're not just going up against an opponent that's a difficult opponent in a game that's a must-win game, as you pointed out right there, hoping. They're actually knowing, these youngsters going in there, that they're safe, they're surrounded by experience, and they're going to have a real opportunity of winning games and helping them out. It was a good performance. Listen, Pedri for me once again was man of the match. I thought he was outstanding. The impact from Rashford was very good. Once again, he got his assist in the game. You know, he's been directly involved in 5 goals in his last 5 games for Barcelona, with a couple of goals and now 3 assists to his name, which is really, really impressive. So I think they've managed to introduce these youngsters, and basically what they're trying to do, and Hansi Flick is a mastermind at this, is give that experience. That experience, Stefano, is like putting money in the bank to Barcelona. They may not be excellent on their first games. They may not be brilliant in their first seasons. But eventually you know that time will come and they'll be unbelievably good footballers. That happened obviously to Xavi Hernandez. Let's not forget that. He gave a lot of youngsters who are now permanent fixtures in this Barcelona team an opportunity to play. And look at them now. They're household names. Yeah, absolutely. Pedri, Gavi, all these younger players. It is impressive, the confidence that he instills in them. It really is. Because that will only help them going forward to get that type of experience. Speaking of young players, Lamine Yamal, the main man in this team, without a doubt, had missed so many games with injury. He comes in and within a minute has a goal involvement. I saw him play this match in that second half. We were watching it together, Ian. I would say that he seemed a bit different out there today. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look at the statistics simply for the Golden Boy. 24 assists for FC Barcelona since last season across all competitions. You know, Mohamed Salah has assisted more goals. He's the only player to have assisted more. I know Rafinha's got the same with 24. But the Golden Boy, Lamine Yamal, did have some sort of a chip on his shoulder. Obviously, coming off the bench and having an impact in 40 seconds is outstanding. That's exactly what we want to see. Impact players from the bench, especially youngsters who have a point to prove. But there is something different about this Lamine Yamal and this type of a performance. There was confidence, there was flow, there was energy, there was arrogance. I love the arrogance. And I almost get the feeling and the sense that Lamine Yamal is obviously trying to help his Barcelona team compete to win trophies. They want to win multiple trophies this season because he is a winner. Let's not forget what he's already done at his teenage young years. But I got a feeling that the snub in the Ballon d'Or, the ignorance maybe from certain journalists to maybe have forgotten about the talent that is Lamine Yamal, is sitting right on his shoulder. And he's got a point to prove to everybody. He's going to play with more arrogance. He's going to play with more determination that he wants to win not only trophies for his football team, he wants that Ballon d'Or. And I feel there's a selfishness there for him to actually go out there and prove this point. This performance proved it to me. This guy's the real deal. This guy wants all of those championships. And by the way, I want to be taken seriously for that Ballon d'Or next year. I have a feeling, I'm going to throw this out there, that he's going to be able to produce more stats, better stats than last year to be able to put him in better contention to win that Ballon d'Or next year. You just got to hope that there isn't those crazy stats from these top-class goal scorers that are sitting in front of him. However, he's probably the sexiest footballer out there right now. His style, the way he performs, the entertainment we are getting from Lamine Yamal, no one does it like him.
No, and he's so young. And he's so young at this point to be able to have that impact. And not just in the way that he gets goals, it's the way that he goes about his business, the way that he plays the game, and the frustration he shows when things don't go his way. We have to remember that he is playing with loads of veterans that have been playing the game before he was born, and he is still out there trying to lead them. He's still out there having reactions when they don't finish his assists, when they don't finish his balls in. I think that him not winning this Ballon d'Or, he can use that, whether that's fair or not, whether you think it's fair or not. I think he can use that as motivation to keep going forward. And I think the only winners here are us that get to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Because if he's going in motivated that way, and if he's going in with that attitude of, I'm going to play my game and I'm going to try to mesmerize every defender and every journalist and every fan that's watching, the only one that's going to benefit are us to watch a brilliant and, like we've said before, a generational talent that is showing out week in and week out. I think it's going to be fantastic for us to be able to watch.
I don't think there's many players in world football that would be able to bring Ray Hudson back to work again, all right? But if there is one, it would probably be Lamine Yamal. If you look at his statistics last season, 18 goals, 21 assists across all competitions. And I have been asking for more because you know the talent's there, you know the skill's there. Now there's that chip on the shoulder and a point to be proved by the young Lamine Yamal. Watch this space. He's a contender already for me, and I wouldn't put it past him winning the next Ballon d'Or, especially if Spain win the World Cup.
Do you think that pressure is something that will bring the best out of him, or do you think that pressure could come back and bite him at some point?
Listen, I think what we are, obviously even ourselves as journalists and players, former players, some players handle the pressure. And even in our world, let's look at the entertainment space. Some people, they get nervous when that red light goes on. They get a little bit uneasy. It doesn't make them feel comfortable. And then you've got us who love the red light. But this guy loves the spotlight. I mean, let's put it into perspective. This guy wants the attention. This guy wants the action. This guy wants the ball. When Lewandowski missed from 5 yards out and hit the crossbar and it sailed off, he's throwing his arms. He's angry. He's upset. And this is a guy who scored 700 goals in his career. And you've got a teenager throwing his hands in anger and frustration. Feed this into me. I love this attitude. I love this desire. But you've got to be able to back it up with your performance. And already from what I'm seeing, that snub might have just made this kid a little angrier and certainly made him maybe a little bit of a better footballer.
We talked about that moment with Lewandowski. He gets a huge miss late in the game, and Lamine has the reaction.
Yep.
Now, it seems like Lewandowski kind of wants to protect Lamine Yamal, wants to be there for him, big brother type. But is Lewandowski's talent, is his finishing ability, his quality in the final third, is it starting to fade just a little bit? And then maybe you're starting to see frustrations around other players. This is maybe a little harsh because he did score a goal today, but is it maybe the quality that we've used to seeing from Robert Lewandowski?
Listen, I have a man crush on Lewandowski. It's clearly been evident on our networks over the years. I love this man. I've had dinner with this man. I've met his wife. He's an unbelievable human being. And what he has done for football, and German football in particular, is quite outstanding. But also being able to perform the way he has done at Barcelona. 33 goals in his first year, 26 in his second, 42 last year. He's got 4 goals already this campaign. And I'm not the guy that's going to critique him heavily. But what I will say is at 37 years old, eventually, we all find our day where it comes where you're not as sharp, you're not as crisp, you're not as clean. I understand injuries come into play here, but age, you're not escaping it. At some point he will slow down, and certainly a couple of opportunities I have witnessed this season already, and I know he's struggled with injury and consistency, but certainly a couple of opportunities I've seen this season. He hasn't looked like the old Lewandowski. And I think at some point Barcelona are going to have to look at the goals that he scored and find a way to replace that in some way. Because 42 goals last season, the only way to replace that is to spend over 100 million. They're not doing that. They can't do that, Barcelona. So they're going to need Lewandowski to really step up and be the player he was last season once again. If he's not, I'm sure they'll be looking for that replacement. But what he's done for the game will never be forgotten.
Absolutely. And, Father Time always wins, as we know. But I do think
Anyways, here's a look at the match stats. Many would have predicted a win
Did
for
we just
Barcelona.
Did we just blame somebody missing a chance because he shaved his highlights? Is it?
I think that's good.
That's my expert analysis for you.
All
You know,
right.
it's like Samson when he lost his hair. He lost his strength. Just kidding.
Okay.
Lewandowski, we've seen the form he's in. Anyways, Barcelona. This is why today was so important. They now overtake Real Madrid to go to the top of the table by just 1 point. And Real Sociedad, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom half of the standings to find them right there, still hovering over the relegation zone. All right, let's welcome in our Luis Garcia and former Barça man himself. Luis, we talked about this in the pre-show. This was a big night for Barcelona. Fireworks are probably going off at Montjuic as we speak. A big night for them to get a big win. And how was it for you?
It wasn't the big win that we all thought. I think the Barcelona missed 45 minutes to try to go ahead and to make this night a special one. It took like half an hour to wake up when they conceded the goal, and then suddenly they were in a rush. We saw a lot more energy in the second half with the replacement, of course, of Lamine Yamal that made an instant impact with a fantastic cross, 1v1. I don't know, Sergio Francisco, how he managed to change that position, because I think it changed for Barcelona straight away. Because when you got Lamine Yamal arriving in the second half fresh with the will of I want to prove what I am, what I can bring to this Barcelona, and you bring Sergio, that is a fantastic player. Don't forget, international, Spanish international, young talent, but it's a lot more about a much more attacking player. And you receive one of the best players in the league, or if we can call it the best player, the best on 1v1 situation, the best on the speed, on the power. And it was a mess all over in the Real Sociedad left side. So for Barcelona, it was all about waiting for the opportunity. Lewandowski could have had the third one. But I think that Barcelona played with fire tonight. If it was another team with a little bit more composure in the last third, we could have seen Barcelona drawing or even losing this game. So I hope there is a wake-up call for Barcelona. They managed to get the result once again today, by 1 goal. But they need to address a few things if they want to continue keeping the pace of Real Madrid for the rest of the season.
Alex, is that how you saw it as well? Of course, job done for Hansi Flick and Barcelona, but playing with fire a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, no better example of that than the sequence where Takecubo hits it off the crossbar and then Barcelona goes on and hits the crossbar through Lewandowski. But that sequence in itself, late in the match, tells you how much Barcelona give opportunity to other teams. In this case, Real Sociedad. And let's not forget, while we joked in the pregame that, look, Real Sociedad can't score goals. Factually speaking, they cannot. You look at the numbers, and it's not a coincidence. This is a team that if you were to break down everything that they do, their most troublesome area is scoring goals. And it's a fact this year, and it has been a fact for them years in the past as well. And so you have Real Sociedad in the second half, even though Barcelona has dominated the game, even though Alex Ramiro has come up with save after save after save, you don't put the game away, and Take Kubo is one crossbar away from actually tying the game up late. One of the things that we talked about Barcelona late last season, if you go back to Inter in Champions League semi-final, let's just say, giving up goals late in the manner in which they did, that this team needed to learn from those sort of things and how to manage games, how to manage leads, how to manage results. There were moments late in this match in which you're still seeing this high line that doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense. And to Luis's point, Real Sociedad had players that actually could run in behind. There was a play in which Mikel Oyarzabal gets in behind and just can't quite sort out his touches. But the spaces were there, the chances were there for Real Sociedad, and I suppose we can hang on to the fact that Ramiro, the goalkeeper for Real Sociedad, made a bunch of saves, but still the result was very much up in the air. I think Hansi Flick and Barcelona and these players would want this sort of matches to be a whole lot less stressful than this one ended up being.
Stevie, Hansi Flick will probably be looking at the defense after this game.
I think Hansi Flick's been looking at his defence since last year. I mean, you know, you can't, the best teams don't go through a season thinking about, okay, we are sometimes pretty vulnerable defensively, but you know what, we're going to score loads of goals. You know, to have that sort of outlook is a gamble, and he has to do something with the back line. There will be days when the forwards are not just quite at it. They're maybe not creating, or they're maybe not finishing. Whatever it may be, there'll be games and days when they're not at it. And so to win a title, you have to be able to rely on your back line to be solid. You have to rely on it to be exactly how you want it to be, game after game after game. You can't say that about Barcelona's back line. They give everybody an opportunity. And so, if there was one thing that he has to try and figure out, that's what it would be.
What I would say, though, in the context of the title race in La Liga, when Barcelona see Real Madrid fall apart in the manner in which they did yesterday against Atletico Madrid, they'll take the 3 points however they
100%.
come against Real Sociedad. And mind you, I think there's also something to be said about the fact that you are short in numbers because of injuries and you still get 3 points. It wasn't the best from Barcelona, but it was effective and efficient enough. And again, in the context of the title race, you take 3 points however you can get them, especially when Real Madrid did what they did or didn't do yesterday against Atletico Madrid.
Well, Luis, as Alex said, it wasn't the best from Barcelona, but they did get one of their best, if not the best player back in Lamine Yamal, and talk about an instant impact. It was like he never left.
Yeah, it's like that. And again, but you can see that he wasn't as fresh as we saw in other games. He wanted to make an impression straight away because as soon as he grabbed the ball, went to face Sergio Gomez and on 1v1 situation, and he beat him quite easily. But right after that, he controlled himself. He saw that the game, it wasn't about trying to keep it going. It was about passing. The pass to Dani Olmo and back to Lewandowski, we didn't talk much about it, but we are talking about a player that is left-footed. Like big left foot. It's not something that the right one is fantastic or brilliant. It's good, but that's a very good pass. It was with enough space for Dani Olmo to arrive. No shot, no goal, the perfect pace. So we are talking about a player that when he's on the field, he just makes the difference. And we've been talking about what happened with this Barcelona, with Rafinha and without Lamine Yamal. Rafinha gives you things, of course, runs, a lot of work. He's a threat sometimes. He likes to go in diagonal. But what Lamine Yamal gives you is a lot more because he attracts play. In the moment that he's on the ball, 2-3 players have to get closer to cover spaces. And then there are other ones that get free. Today we saw Pedri, we saw Lewandowski, we saw Dani Olmo receiving the ball right after Lamine Yamal have the ball. That's what he creates. And the moment that he's facing 1v1, you know there is trouble because right now it's not only about stopping his left foot that is going to fantastic touch. It's about also the right one. The goal from Lewandowski come from a fantastic cross, and the second pass to Dani Olmo, and then finish it from Lewandowski come from a right pass. So it's a very difficult way of stopping a player like this, much more when he comes and he feels that he wants to show up. So fantastic once again, Lamine Yamal in the minutes that he's been on the field, and fantastic news for Barcelona that he's back for that very important game, the midweek against Paris Saint-Germain.
Y culés, Qué jornada tan especial vivimos. El Barcelona consiguió una victoria fundamental por 2-1 frente a la Real Sociedad, con goles de Koundé y Lewandowski, que nos devuelven a lo más alto de la liga. Este triunfo no solo significa 3 puntos, sino que también marca el regreso de la confianza y la ambición del equipo. ¿Y qué decir de la vuelta de Lamine Yamal, que con apenas 16 años volvió a brillar y se lució con una asistencia decisiva? Un diamante que sigue creciendo partido a partido. Con esta victoria, el Barça vuelve a ser líder del campeonato, aprovechando el tropiezo del Real Madrid y demostrando que este equipo está listo para competir con carácter, fútbol y mucha juventud. La prensa internacional, incluso en Inglaterra, ya destaca la solidez del Barça y la magia de sus jóvenes talentos. Ahora es momento de disfrutar, de celebrar y de seguir creyendo. El Barça está en la cima y el futuro es prometedor. Culés, no olviden dejar sus comentarios con toda la burla al Madrid, decirnos desde dónde nos están viendo y por supuesto suscribirse, activar la campanita, dejar su like y compartir este video para que toda la afición blaugrana se una a la fiesta. El Barça es líder, Lamine está de vuelta y la liga vuelve a tener color blaugrana. ¡Visca el Barça!